And welcome to this overview of Surlesol and the Surlesol algorithm. This video won't be an entire explanation of what Surlesol is, but it is rather meant to accompany the blog post that I've written at stephenramey.com. So let's dive in. Here's the home page for Surlesol after our test user has logged in. You'll see we're here with localhost, and this is in development mode. We have Django debug toolbar enabled, and on the sidebar here we can see that we have several items in various wheel of life categories, including mornings, affirmations, health, and evenings. Right now we are in all mode. We can see that over here under our Surlesol mode, and when we're in the mode to see everything, that means everything gets put in the same list or in the same queue. And in order to visualize this, I've come up with something that works in development only called Visualize the Algo. And here we can see that the order that items appear is determined by this sorting algorithm on the left. So how does this work? As discussed previously, we have this thing that we call the Wheel of Life area. And what that means is that if we're in the mode for a wheel of life, then everything else that's not in that wheel of life mode will be filtered out, and that enables us to focus on one area of our lives, whether it's the morning, the evenings, our health, affirmations, whatever. We can focus on that and take care of all of that all at once. Alternatively, you can use Surlesol in all mode and see everything as it comes up, as it's sorted by the Surlesol algorithm. So what is the Surlesol algorithm? In a nutshell, the way that things are sorted in Surlesol depends on 3 or 4 key factors. The first one is whether or not you've determined that something is mission critical to your success. And what that means is basically something that you should or absolutely must do today when it comes due. The other thing is whether or not you've determined if an item is what's referred to as a keystone habit in Surlesol. And what that means is whether or not you've determined that a habit is something that leads to other good habits. So for us, for example, down here we've said that meditation is mission critical and it's a keystone. And the same goes for our exercise. The third item that determines the order that we see things is how overdue that item is. So up here, for example, we can see days overdue on the y-axis and the rank in the queue on the x-axis. And as things are closer to the left here, we're going to see them earlier. Now, why are there 2 graphs? So the reason that there are 2 graphs is because I want to show the evolution of items as they go through the Surlesol queue and as we make decisions on them. This will become a little more obvious in a moment, but where the current number of skips comes in is that if we want to do something, but we haven't done it yet, we can either say that we are doing it or want to do it. So let's say, for example, we're checking our Surlesol in the morning and we haven't exercised yet, but we plan to. What we can do is mark that as want to do. And so it'll move that item to the back of the queue. And this is especially valuable when we are looking at one thing at a time, trying to plan our day, remember what we said was important to us in the past, and then figure out how we're going to do it for that day. So if I come here and focus, we'll see that the very first thing I see is exercise every day. Try and be breathless and sweaty. And this is 7 days overdue. If I click on this link, I can enhance and look in closer and see that, oh geez, I haven't done that since the 26th of January. And yesterday I marked that as doing, so I was really intent on doing that. So I can come back here, and I didn't exercise yesterday, so I'm going to mark that as won't do or did not do if we're looking at the past tense. But if we come back into our visualize the algorithm view here, we can see that that's still the next item that we need to decide on. Oh, never mind, that must have given it a skip. At any rate, we made a decision on it, and I moved it to the back of the queue. Yeah, I think that's how that works. So that means that meditation moves up to the front of the queue, and it's the next thing that we need to decide on. So if we say that we want to do this, we're not going to do it right now, we can mark it as want, and it'll move it to the back of the queue. And now you can start to see where the state comes into play. So this item has been changed to want to do from undecided, and the number of skips has gone up by 1. So we can't see that in either of these views, but the reason that it's at the back now is because the current number of skips has increased. Now let's say that we see pack your gym clothes for tomorrow. We are going to do that after exercise, so we'll mark that as doing. Similarly, it'll be moved to the back of the queue as well, but it'll have a state change of in progress. So you can start to see that the order that we see things is determined by this algorithm, and once you understand how it works, it really gives you a serene overview of your day. Now this one right here, this is a mission critical item. Get to the point where you have zero desire to smoke. This is kind of like an affirmation for me, and I've marked it as mission critical, but not necessarily keystone. And it's 1 day overdue. I believe I did it yesterday, so I'll mark that as done. And now that item gets moved to the back of the queue. So now that'll stay there. When we come in our list view, importantly, we will still see it. So we can check and see what we've done, what we've marked as completed. However, when we come in our focus view, there's another filter that we add, and we say where the days overdue is greater than 0. So we will filter out these statuses, and we will only see things whose days overdue are 0 or positive. So what that enables us to do is add things like, you know, for example, I have this get a hair every 20 days. So something that I like to do is to keep my hair trim, and sometimes I don't realize how long it's been since I've cut my hair. This was obviously a challenge during the pandemic, but by having this reminder, I'll just put this under life admin. This is pretty interesting because we'll see that today it's overdue 0 days because I just created it. But if time went on and it was, let me see if I can demonstrate this with the days overdue algorithm. Let me see if I can demonstrate this with the visualize the algorithm view. So where does the haircut show up in our view? It is right here. Get a haircut every 20 days. Right now it's third in the queue, and its days overdue are 0. The priority is normal because we didn't mark it as mission critical or keystone. And we have some other items coming up that were moved to the back of the queue that we've already kind of made decisions on. And the next thing is to read for 5 or 10 minutes. So let's say that, you know, I step away, I read for 5 or 10 minutes, and we come back, and I mark that as done. That also gets moved to the back of the queue, so when we come back into our focus view, we won't see that any longer. Now we'll check our calendar. We can pretend that we did that. And now, if I understand how this graphing works and how we're showing things, what I expect if we mark get a haircut done every 20 days, what I expect to happen is that the days overdue is going to become highly negative. And what that means is we won't see it again for another 19 or 20 days until it becomes due again. So the way that the days overdue calculation works is that we say how long has it been since we last completed this item and how often do we want to do it. So once an item becomes complete more than the number of days ago that we want to do it, then it will come back into view. So once, you know, let's pretend that I go and get a haircut and I come back and I mark this as done. That did not work at all because I think that we are filtering it out. Yeah, so this view that we're looking at right now, I believe, has this feature built into it. So our haircut completely dropped off the map. And if we search for it, get a haircut every 20 days, we'll see that days overdue now is -20. And what that means is that we won't see it, we won't think about it at all until it comes back into view. And that's kind of beautiful, because it really allows you to manage a lot of complexity in your life. And with these various affirmations, getting to the point where you have zero desire to smoke, one of the things that I found helpful is setting these up so that they are kind to yourself and not too hard on yourself, because I think that for a lot of smokers, like anxiety and things like that, and perhaps like shame can trigger people to indulge in the exact habit that they are trying to avoid. So I think just being observant and being mindful is a really great way to start. But also one of the things that happens is when you see these affirmations every day, it starts to kind of rewire your brain and also change your belief system. And if you can change your belief system, then you can change your thoughts, then you can change your actions. So it's a really powerful framework to quickly instill the beliefs that your past self has determined should be important for your future self. Now let's pretend that we go through the rest of this and we knock it all out, we mark it all done. We go to the gym, we come back, we meditate, and we pack our gym clothes. Now we can see everything is done. And so with our ranking, when we come back to focus, we shouldn't see anything. We don't have any more items in all to look at. Similarly, on the left-hand side here, we will see that there are no other things that we need to take care of today. If we want to, we can check out some more examples for things that we can perhaps add to our Surlesol. Quite a few of these we've discussed already. And these ones are very obvious. I don't necessarily want you to add to your Surlesol to use the toilet. But in the morning, a lot of us, I think, go to the restroom once we've woken up. This is a really prime opportunity for what James Clear refers to as habit stacking. So you might add to your Surlesol, use the toilet and brush my teeth, or use the toilet and weigh myself. And one of the things that happens is once you start to see this more and more, you use the toilet and then your mind starts to remind you, I'm forgetting something. There's something that I'm supposed to do after this. I'm supposed to stack some habit on top of this. And it's a really convenient way to maintain a lot of these cues without necessarily having to structure your environment in a way that is perfect. Or if your environment gets disrupted, or if you're traveling, you can easily get back on top of things. And it really starts to give you a lot of momentum when you're working on self-improvement and trying to, improve your life, and whichever way you determine is important. So that's all I've got for today. I will probably do a bit of editing with this, we'll see. But that is the Surlesol algorithm in a nutshell. If you have any questions, please do email me at steven@surlesol.com. Thanks.